You're listening to Wet Shaving Talk, powered by Sharpologist.com, where we're dedicated to preserving the art and skill, classic shaving. I'm your host, Joe Borrelli, and today is June 23rd, 2025. All right, everyone, welcome back to the podcast. Glad to see you all here today on this beautiful start of summer day. That's right, it is the start of summer, and we are in full-fledged in most parts of the country right now. I mean, there's been a heat wave going on, so I thought, what better way to talk about a heat wave than to talk about how to beat the heat. So with the show today, we're going to talk a little bit about menthol in the products that you have, wet shaving products, how to beat the heat with those items, and give you a little bit of relief when you walk out the door, especially after getting ready in the morning or when you do your shave at night, and just getting that little blast of coolness on your face and what it causes and what it does, and really just a few products that have it that are readily available that you can get. There are a lot of items that have the menthol in it, and it will give you that cooling effect. And a few people that a few things that might make you allergic to it as well as with me. So we'll talk a little bit about that. And why I saw this on Badger and Blade this week. Why does wet shaving bring you peace? A couple people posted on that. Actually, I had quite a few posts. It was posted as a thread on Badger and Blade, and I was really interested in that. And I was going to tell you what brings me peace with wet shaving and why why it makes a lot of sense on how it's like just a little bit of a peaceful thing or an event that happens on a daily basis that you can enjoy often. Are you a collector? Are you a user? Why I think you should use your stuff. That's right, guys. There are a lot of collectors out there that like to put stuff in boxes or hold them, and I feel you shouldn't do that. I think you should use your items. Use your products, use your collectibles, and I'll tell you exactly why and what I think about the whole collecting aspect of wet shaving in a nutshell, I guess to say. So, guys, without further ado, let's get on with the show. So, what's up with menthol and how it's there to how can it beat the heat in the summer months? So, mentholated products are a great way to beat the heat, and they by providing a cooling effect that can make you feel like fresh, cool, especially during these hot summer months, a lot of humidity. And it's derived mainly from mint leaves, and there's also synthetic versions as well. And what it really does is it gives you that real cooling, breezy like aspect, and kind of like, I guess it makes you feel a little tingly at times as well. There are a lot of items that do carry a little menthol in it, and there's some really good there's a really good website, post on Sharpologist about what is menthol and why is it in my shaving stuff. So I actually put a link in the show notes to this. So what it is, it's basically an organic compound really obtained from mint oils or it can be made synthetically. So a lot of wet shaving vendors are using synthetic menthol. I think it's probably more on the affordable side. It's also easier to find, I would guess, and you don't have to really probably easier to make. I'm not sure. I don't know much about it. But what it really does is it activates the body receptor structures found in the skin and cold sensitive areas, making you feel cold, and it kind of gives you like a little cold message to the brain from the nerves, I guess, on your skin. So it's got almost like an anesthetic, I guess, I don't know. It's like a healing aspect as well. It feels kind of like that. If you haven't tried methylated products, I have, but unfortunately, guys, I have issues with most of them. I'm a little bit allergic, so I can't really wear them on my face too often. It really makes me feel kind of like a little bit, like it kind of almost clogs up my nose, I guess. It makes you, and my face also breaks out a little bit, so I got to go easy on the methylated products, but I do love it. When you shave with them, okay, let me just give you a little insider. When you actually shave with a methylated shave soap and then follow up with like an aftershave or something like that, in that sense, right, or a balm, you go outside and you feel cold. Like it will feel like a kind of, I don't know, guys, if you've ever put like a muscle relaxer on them, which I'm guessing is probably methylated, like a Bengay or something like that. You feel that tingly feel. It's similar to that, only just I don't think you get the bad smell, and also it's a little bit more on the cooler side, right? Some of them will warm, some of them cool. Icy hot would be an example when it's the icy part of it, right? So it kind of feels good, and it will also feel like when you go outside and you're in the heat, it does make you feel cooler, as in the sense if you go in a sauna and you go right outside in the hot humid air, you'll feel like cooler, right? You'll feel cooler for a few minutes, and if you jump in the pool, you'll feel really cold. Similar to that, if you've been in a sauna, you understand what I'm saying. So a lot of people use these products, especially during the hot times, because of that aspect, the cooling aspect. Now, there are lots of products that do it. If you guys ever tried it's called the Holy Black Creeper line. If you've ever tried that line that they usually come out with in the summertime, they've had a lavender creeper, they've had lots of different creepers, orange, I think they've had coconut. Those have a ton of methanol in it. And I believe they use synthetic menthol in that, and it really that's really to the extreme. Also, you have Phoenix Artisan Accoutrements Frostbite. That's another really intense soap that will really give you the cooling essence. And then Sterling, the Glacial line. There's a whole line of Sterling where they put a lot of methylated crystals in your shaving stuff in their soaps, and you can get different scents and stuff like that. There's also some sites online where you can actually buy the menthol yourself. I think PAA sells it, Phoenix Artisan Accoutrements. I know the Shave Den store, she used to sell it over there. I'm not sure if she still does, and I'm pretty sure you could probably find it on Amazon if you wanted to. And you can add it to anything. You can add it to your own aftershaves. You can really methylate anything. So, in short, if you guys looking for a quick way to beat the heat, especially with these high temperatures going on right now and the heat wave up north, and if you live in the southeast like I do, you really kind of get used to the heat after a few years. It's just going to be there every single day. There's nothing you can really do about it. But this is a great way to do it. You can try these out. I do recommend trying it out sparingly when you first start, because I've heard a lot of stories about people being allergic or having reactions to it, and that's kind of in my boat as well. So check out also, guys, the link I left in the show notes to the Mantix article, What is Menthol and Why is it in My Shaving Stuff? And see if you can get some more information and see if it's for you. And then if you want, try something out. Let me know the results. See what you guys think if you haven't tried one. And see if you could beat the heat in a wet shaving style. All right, moving along. So why does wet shaving bring you peace? So does it in fact bring you peace? Do you feel more relaxed? Do you feel peaceful after shaving, or while you're shaving, or even while you're Googling and searching for wet shaving products and shopping for them? So an interesting post on Badger and Blade really opened it up for me. I took a look at it and I saw this subject, and I started thinking about it. Does it bring me peace? A lot of people responded that it does, because it's the few minutes a day that they get to themselves, and it's just fun to do a hobby or to have something special reserved for yourself every day. So I will agree this does bring me peace, and I'm going to say that there's a lot of things that bring people peace, right? I talked to a gentleman the other day, and some people do small things. Like example, there's a gentleman at the coffee shop that I go to pretty quite often. He says that this place is his peace. Like every day before work, he likes to sit down, he gets something to eat, he drinks a coffee, and goes to work from that coffee shop. So I asked him, I said, "Hey man, you're here every single day. Why don't you try a different place?" He's like, "Well, this place brings me peace because I like to relax, and it's like a routine, and it's something I do for myself every day, just to give myself that little kickstart and to treat myself daily. It might be $4, $5 for coffee, but it's just what I do for me." And I thought about it, and he made a really good point, because I think for myself, it's wet shaving every morning. So I wake up every day, and for my own personal self, I will make sure that I shave before work, after work, whatever I do every day. But I like to do it in the morning because it gives me a kickstart. I used to be a night shaver. I shave at night when I first started, because it takes longer, to wet shave when you're starting out, especially with a straight razor. But lately, I've been able to get my routine down, and I like to wake up. I make sure I wake up an additional 30 minutes early just for wet shaving. So I will be honest, if I need to be up at 5 a.m., I'll wake up at 4:30 a.m. just so I could shave and get ready and take my time and really put that effort into myself. And I guess for me, I think of it as like, hey, I accomplished something that most people don't before I even leave my house, right? If you're shaving with a straight razor, or if you're shaving with a safety razor and a brush and soap, you can honestly say that 95% of the people out there didn't start their day with a skill like that, right? Like most people don't know anything about wet shaving. They don't know that. But think about challenging yourself. You know, a classic thing for people to do is make their bed before they go to work every single day, regardless if they live alone or if they live with people, because it gives them that sense of accomplishment that they accomplished something that most people don't do before they leave for work. Well, I do like to make my bed, and I also like to wet shave because I accomplished something that 95% of the people don't do, right? And it gives me, I guess, a little sense of empowerment. It gives me a little boost. And it makes me feel like, I feel I'm a little bit pumped up, to be honest with you. Like I'm ready for the day just because I did it. And I can actually noticeably see a difference if I don't. Like if I don't shave, I'm always touching my face. I feel like I'm missing something. I feel like I'm unkept because at work I like to make sure I'm professional. I look good. Now, granted, guys, beards are very acceptable in the workplace right now, right? You can do beards, no problem. Nobody says anything. Most companies, even back in the day with retail, you used to not be able to have facial hair. You had to have short hair. No, it's very lax in that area, and beards are very widely accepted, and a lot of people have beard. Most men at my work, I'd say 90% of them have a beard of some sort, with the exception of myself, which I used to have one. I tried one out for a few years, but I guess you could say it's a way to accomplish something, give yourself a little bit of time to you, and celebrate yourself every single day, even though most of us are celebrating others most of the time, right? As a parent, your kids come first, we know that. As a friend, your friends come first, your work comes first, whatever. Usually you're going to work every day, and even if you own your own business and you own your own, or you don't work at all, you're working, doing something for someone else. So why not treat yourself on a daily basis, whether it be a cup of coffee or a clean wet shave in the morning. So that's how I think of it. And that's really how the article went through with everybody and how what it really came about. So does wet shaving bring you peace? Let me know. Send me an email. I'd love to talk about it. All right. Are you a collector? Are you a user? Why I think you should do both. So there are parts of your collection that you never use and you have a fear of it getting damaged or losing value. Well, guys, I'm here to tell you my thoughts on this whole thing, and it's, I say use it. Use it or lose it. So a lot of guys will say, hey, I have a really rare razor. I don't want to use it because I don't want to ruin it, right? I don't want to destroy it. I want to preserve it, and that's great and all, but I could tell you guys right now that these razors are meant to be used. They can be used, and you should use them, and I'll tell you exactly why. Why not? You've went out, you've purchased. I could tell you a couple stories of when I bought some rare pieces, right? You guys know the story. I took me over almost 10 years to find a bottom dial Gillette Fat Boy, right? To find one at a price that I could afford and to where I was willing to spend it. I've always wanted one. It was on my list of purchasing for many years. And finally, I was able to pick one up at a decent price, and it was in decent shape. And the first thing I did the first week I had it was use it, right? I'm like, well, if I'm going to do it and try it, I want to see what the hype is. I want to see why. I want to shave with a piece of history. I've shaved with a straight razor, several straight razors from the 1700s, 1800s, and that's the reason. Like a lot of people say, why would you use that? It's been around for 200 years. You shouldn't use it. Well, you know what? I know I probably shouldn't, but I'm going to because it is awesome to use a razor that's 200 years old. I could tell you that is pretty cool, right? And it's a lot of fun to collect and say to people, hey, this works too, especially with safety razors. Safety razors don't need a lot as much work as a straight razor will need to get it shave ready. For example, you get my straight razor I got from the 1700s, my EVAT that I had. I did do an article on Sharpologist about that some time ago. And this razor had a lot of history to it. It needed a lot of work. I kept the original scales, but of course the blade needed to be rehoned. It actually needed to be reground. I was able to do all that work myself. It took me about a week or two to do it, and it shaves perfectly now. It shaves beautifully. It's great. Yeah, it might be a little bit altered from when I found it, and may have lost a little bit of metal and may be a little bit cleaned up. But it's really, the value of the item probably didn't go down at all. I don't think it's really worth much. I don't know how much they're worth, but I paid about $100 for it, right? I think, and that's a lot for a straight razor that's that old that needed work. But it's fun. I really enjoy collecting it, and I love using it every now and then. And I love just trying it out and looking at new things. I love using vintage Kamisari Japanese straight razors. I think those are awesome. A lot of people think they're collector's items. To me, I don't mind. I use it. If it gets a scratch on it, hey, we'll live. I could polish it out if needed. So I do understand, guys, some items, might be really historic to you, may have a lot of, I guess, maybe it might have a lot of meaning to you, a lot of, it might be worth a lot of money. There are razors worth thousands of dollars out there. But you know what? If you use it, I highly doubt you're going to hurt it. I think that, if you did hurt it or break it, there are places. Razor Emporium fixes those vintage Gillette razors, no problem. They can make it look brand new and better than new with better coatings than came from the factory, right? There are several companies that do that now. And they're now, I think Razor Emporium's even making parts for Gillette razors now. Yeah, they're making the springs. They're making handles for vintage tech razors. I mean, they're making a lot of parts. And I have a feeling they're going to make more because they got a CNC machine now. So they might even make more parts for these. So the day of, hey, you buy a Gillette and you break something on it, they might be coming to an end to where, hey, you break something on it, hey, we'll make the part for you, we'll fix it. May not be 100% original, but it'll be 100% functional. So I say, guys, use it or lose it. No point in just not using your beautiful shaving stuff if you can. Again, there's some people that don't want to use it, that just like holding it. Just like I know several watch collectors that don't wear half their watches, and to me it's like, hey man, wear it, enjoy it. Have a smaller collection and wear your stuff more often, or whatever. But wear those watches that you spend all your time looking for and having, because that's really what they're for and that's what they were made to do. But I understand if you don't, right? I understand it's a collector item, whatever. But that's my take on it, guys, and I'll stick to it. All right, guys. So I did receive a few emails from a few listeners here, and I wanted to go over it. This is a few weeks ago. Didn't have a chance to talk about it on the last podcast, but if you guys send me an email, I will feature it or talk about it on the show. I did receive an email from Tim, and Tim was very gracious, and he sent me a Weber DLC razor. So he's been a long-time listener. Actually listened to this podcast and the one by Rick DeWeese. I don't know if you guys remember. Rick was doing a podcast before mine, and I believe he actually inspired me to do so because I was listening to his podcast and I really enjoyed it. And then I heard, on the story on Sharpologist, I heard that Andrew was looking for somebody. He was the original podcast host. I joined him. I just contacted him, joined him as like helping out, like an assistant, and then kind of took over after a little bit of time. But he's been listening for a long time, and he, offered to give me a Weber DLC safety razor. So that's the one with the black coating on it, right? The coating on it's a very good razor. And first off, thank you, Tim. I couldn't thank you enough for this razor. I am a fan of Weber. I do think they make some great stuff. I know Leisure Guy is also a huge fan of Weber razors. They were the first American-made razor in a long time. Back in 2012, when they first started coming out, they were the first one to be made in the United States by an artisan, really ever, I think, or since the 80s with Gillette, until Gillette shut down production in the United States. So this is the first and one of the better ones out there, I believe. So it's actually turning into quite a collectible item. And I have this razor, and I'm going to try it out for a little bit. I'm trying to figure out how to, because I already have a Weber. I don't have the DLC. So I'm going to figure out how to gift this razor along the lines in the future. So probably going to hold it until Christmas time or something like that and do a nice little giveaway around then. So got to say, Tim, thank you very much for, one, being a listener for many years, and two, for sending the razor. I was very ecstatic to get it. It was a very, very kind thing that you did, and nice, and I appreciate it. And we're giving you a wet shaving talk salute virtually here. So thanks again, Tim, and look forward to hearing from you in the future. So I also received an email from a good friend of mine online, Abby. Abby's been listening to the podcast for a while. He's also sent me several emails, and we go back and forth and talk here and there. And he sent me an email about the wet shaving market shift. And he heard me talk about like how the industry was changing, mostly on the software side. We talked about that a few weeks ago, and a lot of people, and he as well shares that he's worried about the market becoming oversaturated. So, talking about the competition, with mostly innovation, some artisans that would go through a lot of different changes and stuff like that. We're losing some artisans there. There were noticeably fewer attendees at the Maggards meetup, and looking at my database and looking at out there in the world, in the wet shaving world, it is true there are quite a few vendors that have shut down or slowly, kind of phased out from where there were about 5 or 6 years ago. And that's just because costs and all that stuff. I think competition's getting crazy. And a lot of, he also mentioned he spoke to a few people there. One vendor mentioned that many of the enthusiasts stocked up a ton during 2020, during the pandemic. We're all sitting around bored, so we bought a lot, so they're not buying much. And the bubble might have burst. And, realistically, we looked at it, talking about our wet shaving collections, and most of us out there are collectors, and Abby is one of them, has probably about 100 years worth of shaving soap, right? If you kept all your soaps and used them, didn't buy another one, you got about 100 years worth. So it's just like, well, you know what? Maybe people are just slowing down in general, and that's kind of where I'm at. At one point, I had probably close to like 70, 80 soaps, right? Maybe more. I don't know. I started getting rid of a lot of them because a lot of them started falling apart. Some of them I just didn't use anymore, and I just ran out of space. And also, I wanted to use my collection, so I haven't bought a shave soap other than maybe 3 to 5 shave soaps a year, when I used to buy probably 30 in the last couple of years, because I've been using my stuff up. But recently, I want to start supporting the artisans, and listening to reading this article, and then just talking about, hey, these guys might need some help for their businesses. Yeah, I think I will definitely go through it. So if you're a vendor or you're an artisan and you need some help, or if you want to talk about your product, just send me an email, all right? Send me an email, and I will definitely mention you on the show. We could talk about it. I could try to work out an interview. It's tough for me just because I just don't have much time to do interviews, to set up and collaborate. And it's usually when you do that kind of stuff, it does take a lot of time. So we'll talk about it though. So definitely. So Abby, as always, thank you for sending me that email. Again, it was really good. Enjoyed it. I always enjoy your guys' emails. Whenever you send it to me, I read every single one of them and respond to them. So I have a lot of fun doing that. And really enjoy, Abby, as well, your content, because you always send good stuff, and you're always very very active, and you have a very good perspective on the wet shaving world. So thank you again for your email. All right, everyone, that concludes the show for this week. That's it. Talking about wet shaving and all that good stuff, man. It doesn't get any better than that for us wet shavers. It's still a lot of fun. I'm going in on 10 years on this podcast and still enjoying every moment of it. So just wanted to remind you guys, our show is powered by sharpologist.com, which your father didn't teach you about shaving. Thanks to Mantic59 for everything that he does for the wet shaving community. And of course, most of all, you guys, the listeners. Don't forget to check out my blog site, shavestraightandsafe.com. And always feel free to email me at joe.wetshavingnews@gmail.com. Remember, my book is out still. The Modern Guide to Straight Razor Shaving, available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and at Pastor's Pharmacy in a brick-and-mortar location. Next show will be on the 7th of July. Until then, shave straight and shave safe. Bye-bye now.